So here in this video, we're going to be talking about finding the volume of a cone. So again, here's a cone. Our radius is, again, from the middle of the circle to the outside of the circle. That is our radius. So when finding the volume of the cone, what's interesting about the volume of cones is they are actually hold 1/3 of a cylinder with the same radius and height. So like if you think of those like Dixie cups and excuse me. So at some like drinking fountains where they have the cups, you have your Dixie cups, which are cylinders, or you could have those cone-like cups, and it would take, as long as they're the same height and the same radius, it would take 3 of the cone cups to fill up the Dixie cup. So maybe at some point I can find the video that actually physically shows, or maybe see if I can find an activity for us to do in class. But what that means is the volume is going to be 1/3 pi r squared times our height. So this pi r squared height, that's our volume of the cylinder. We're going to be 1/3 of that. Another way you can write this, and it means the exact same thing, is the volume is pi r squared height. I don't like the way my pi's are looking. Pi r squared height divided by 3. Because 1/3 is the same as dividing something by 3. Now, it has to be that perpendicular height, so the height from the vertex straight down to the center of the circle. If you're given the slant height, then because this is a right triangle, use Pythagorean theorem. Use Pythagorean theorem to find your missing height. And it's the same if you're doing surface area and you need slant height, but you're given the height. Use Pythagorean theorem to find your slant height because it creates a right triangle. All right, so starting off here, what is the volume of each cone in terms of pi? So that means we're going to leave our answer with pi. So we know that our radius is 3 and that our height is 3. So here's our radius, 3, and our height is 3. So we're going to do volume equals 1/3 pi times radius squared times, I'm getting ahead in my thinking, times our height, which is 3. So 3 squared is 9, so we're going to get 1/3 pi times 9 times 3. And 9 times 3 is 27, so we've got 1/3 times, I'm going to move the 27 up, 27 times pi. So then 1/3 of 27 is the same as doing 27 divided by 3. So we end up with 9 pi centimeters cubed. And because it wants it in terms of pi, that is our final answer. On this one, I'm going to do it the other way that I said we could write our formula. So starting, our radius is 2. Our height is 7. And so volume is going to equal pi times radius squared times our height, all divided by 3. And so then we're going to get pi, 2 squared is 4, so pi times 4 times 7 divided by 3. And then we're going to do 4 times 7, which is 28. So we have 28 pi divided by 3, which is approximately 9.33. And I say approximately because since it's a third, the decimal repeats. So 9.33 pi. Now, we talked about exact answers. 28 pi over 3 is the more exact answer, but MathXL will be looking for those decimal answers. And again, that's in terms of pi, and I guess I forgot to put the centimeters cubed at the end of that. Alright, so next example, we are woo, helps if I could talk today. A shaved ice vendor wants a new cone to hold about 150 centimeters cubed of shaved ice. So just looking at this unit, that tells us that that's a volume. Volume is going to be 150. Also the fact that they want it to hold. So since we're holding, that means volume. So either of those two things tell us that 150 is a volume of shaved ice when filled to the brim. Excuse me. To the nearest tenth of a centimeter, what should the radius be? So we don't know the radius, and we know that the height is 9 centimeters. So we're going to use the fact that volume equals 1/3 pi r squared height, and then we're going to plug in 150 equals 1/3 times pi r squared times 9. And so then from here, we're going to, I would take 1/3 of 9, mostly because I know 9 is divisible by 3. So I'm going to do 150 equals, 1/3 of 9 is 3, because 9 divided by 3 is 3. 3 pi r squared. And then I'm going to take that 3 times 3.14, so 150 equals, and 3 times 3.14 is 9.42. So 9.42 r squared. So from here now we start solving the equation. Before then we were just simplifying, in a way, kind of combining like terms. From here, to get r squared by itself, we're going to divide both sides by 9.42. And so 150 divided by 9.42 is 15.92. And so that will give us r squared. We talked about before in 3.1 that the opposite of the square of something is to find the square root. So the square root of 15.92 is approximately 3.99. So that's approximately our r value. Now it wants to the nearest tenth. Well, if I take that 9 and round to the nearest tenth, that would make that a 10, so our radius has to be approximately, squiggle squiggle for approximate, 4 centimeters. Now, because it's a radius, it doesn't get the cubed, because it's a one-dimensional shape. There it is. Only volume gets the centimeters cubed. Once we go back to radius, or if we were looking for the height, then it just is centimeters. Alright, so that is it about finding the volume of cones. Until next time when we talk about the volume of spheres.